अरे मुकेश जरा सुस्त तो
बोलो ख्यालों में करो
ख्यालों
सब खुशी को
इधर बसो
ये जाकर जाने वालों से ये जाकर जाने वालों से मोहब्बत करने वाले हमसे घबराया नहीं करते
जगराए
वफा
दिलों এটা করো না अपना बहलाया नहीं তারপরে স্যাঞ্জাটা নে নে না নে
चांदनी भी चार दिन की है चांदनी चार दिन की
लाइट
है
चला आपने तरफ चलाए
हमसे घबराया नहीं करते जो ठुकराए गए हैं जो ठुकराया नहीं करते
तब
Many faces of man. A holistic man deserves a holistic approach to account when he parts forever. A holistic prayer too is the crying need of the hour. This for the so loving a soul departed, for the hapless, helpless consort left in a lurch, also for the near and dear ones who feel inchoate, irreconciled. Conscientiously, with conscience and conscious will, with inner purity, do I ask myself if I am able to pay a fair and just tribute when so bereaved, so emotionally gagged. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, I mentally say, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. My personal limitations I feel, I admit, and especially how blatantly glaring are they in the proximity and presence of so gem of a person as Ranjan, Professor S. Majumdar, with whom I had the pleasure and pain of sharing and of teaching for nearly 36 years. A man with Catholic taste and temper, so large-minded, so large-hearted, with universal aspects, if not universal vision. Always elusive, always elusive was he. To me, he reminded Hamlet's famous saying, "What a piece of a work is man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god." A last remains of Renaissance? Question mark. A unique teacher. To his students, he never taught, but transported, transformed. Though not through repartees and ceaseless talks, waxing eloquent in all esoteric subjects, on all esoteric subjects, thereby creating a bonhomie of homely bonding. He owned them, they owned him, and he still rules over their head and heart. In the heat and the heydays, when he rode on the high horse of learning and disseminating, he showed an Aristotelian roundedness, on whom and on outlandish Faustus he lectured in and out of the classrooms, exultantly, indefatigably. A man absolutely egoless. Can this be possible? A rare phenomenon, yes, a phenomenon, not a man, both in elements and essence. A microscopic expression of universe in himself, he showed the universal quality of what Dylan Thomas calls to enter into the zeons of all things, all beings, with the felicity and facticity of facts, precisely the reason he is loved by one and all. So simple, so unassuming, so spontaneous, and so natural. A carefree Harfan Maula. Ranjan never cared for mapping and planning his personal life, nor did he care if others, opaque, had lesser receptivity and acceptability. He gave and gave himself, poured and poured himself out and out. That is why many a time his spontaneity began to pall. This he could not help, nor his listeners. Homely, knowledgeable, and meticulous in details, Ranjan was, is a household name, with a direct access to every heart and hearth of all families, all friends. He could, with ease, explain and apprise all the bones and bodhies, bones and bodhies, the nuances of the culinary art, every ever trying out new recipes, new ingredients, new palates. A Khaddorosi, a lover of good food, a delectician, a kanasha. So, a lover and liver of vibrant life. Mother's munificence and her absence often reflected in the treats he gave. To his coterie of close friends, old buddies, with them feasting and regaling and picnicking, he appeared Epicurus's oine sane. Epicurus খেতে ভালোবাসতো আর কি, প্লেজার লাভিং আর কি, Epicurus oine sane. Chaucer's veritable Harry Bellicus. এটা হলো হ্যারি বেলিকাস একটা ক্যারেক্টার ওটাতে কিসে ক্যান্টারবারি টেলসে। An impresario, an organizer, a friend, philosopher and guide, and above all, a master chef, a master of ceremony. An outsider coming from Jabalpur, unsure of my moorings, I was peripheral, if not a pariah, to this Kalibadi close circle. Because of my limitations of knowledge and of my feelings, neither could I associate nor identify myself with this group. Rather, I felt apprehensive of such excesses and indulgences. So I looked askance to him. And to be frank, in the beginning of our teaching career, the way he expostulated, knowing no end of object and the subject, I had found him a master of coffee and confusion. Wise and unworldly, forever gentle, forever decent, gifted with subtle poetic sensibility and great singing ability, and with encyclopedic bookish knowledge, seldom centered, seldom focused, seldom purposive, and always non mundane. He fascinated me and everyone else. In his youngest, prolonged bachelor days of yours, way back before his marriage, which was in fact a compromise, a dire old age necessity, a Ranjan who never found his Nandini as described in Rakta Korvi. I often mistook him for a Will Bimble, a character from Addison's Cavalry Papers. Very amiable, very endearing, very ingratiating, yet distracted, directionless. Living and enjoying life and helping others was his forte, his real joy. With the passing of time, as our mutual intimacy ripened to the core, I discovered he was a collegian in his makeup, in his scholarship. I was more Wordsworth prone. If you refer to Sir Maurice Baura's book, The Romantic Imagination, you will appreciate what I mean to say here. And more often than not, I marveled at his aerial like ability of absorption. Where the bee suck, there suck I, under the cowslip I lie. I wondered, a man who could easily have been a Prospero, how could he possibly remain contented as Ariel? Yet, not a lesser accomplishment in life indeed. Later, retired, resting on his laurels, but constantly ailing and subsequently afflicted with incurable illness, did he eventually inwardly wail, as Coleridge did, "My genial spirit fail," an ill-fated line he was so fond of quoting. No, ever gainsaid reality. Never his spirit felt mowed down by grief. What a walt face! A lover and liver of life as he was, in a true sense, gifted with a wonderful willpower. A rationalist, not a rationalizer. An aesthete, not a posier. Never specious, never a dissembler. Endued with the country wisdom and intellect of his forebears and his dear father, his natural gumption was all inclusive, all encompassing. Its undercurrent, I surmise, runs through the entire family. A vestige of it perhaps persists in his nephews, whom he adored lifelong and poured his life upon. Resilient, he rallied forth, recovered, always defeated death a number of times, very much like his revered mentor Kavi Guru Rabindranath in his last days. In his sensibility and aesthetics, he was Rabindric by nature. If English was his outer adornment, Bengali culture was Ranjan's inner core, not restricted to his raiment, his dress, his Bengali Poridhan, spick and span, characteristically frilled dhoti Punjabi, whenever the occasion came handy. A Bengali Fool Babu, a veritable Jamaida, a true blue buck. He was, however, never conscious of his greatness. At times I wished he would be a little conscious of his psychic self, his Chaitanya Purusha, as mind often beguiles, as the senses waylay. But then he recited verbatim Rabindranath and many other poets and sang sweetly Rabindra Sangeet. A genuine lover of music was he, with a delightful voice, a voice that lingers even now. A little nasalized, like that of sweet Lady Prioress, a little entuned in nose. Though certainly not a mute and inglorious Milton, his last days of suffering reminds me of Gray's lamentation. Full many a gem of purest ray serene, the dark, unfathomed caves of ocean bare. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air. Though such a sweetness, such a gem is seldom wasted as the home in human heart, how I wished they had the facilities of a greater protection, a greater comfort, and a care of a more advanced medical attention of the privileged class to survive, to stay alive. Such a case in point is found under the same roof of the Chotapara house that he was so generously rented. It is a role of is it a role of destiny that in Chotapara, where he spent his boyhood, there his life ended? Is it a role of providence that of all his nephews, the one who lives in London came to his hometown Raipur quite on a different mission? Fulfilled his filial obligations, performed his uncle's funeral rites. In that way, Ranjan was really privileged. Again, is it an irony of circumstance that at the fag end of his life he nestled so closely to the same supremo of the college management with whom earlier, while in service, he had a row, from whom he had fallen apart? Death alone is not a great leveler. Human sorrow and human circumstances also contribute in creating a unity of feeling and a unity of being. We should live and learn from Ranjan's example and undo not the good that men do. Allow it not to be interred with bones. On the good of the plain that this good man has bequeathed us, let us ruminate, let us reflect. Finally, my salutations, my standing ovation to great doctors like Subir Mukherjee, Biplav Datto, our Prabhada, and also all the medical fraternity. The humanity bows before them in gratitude for their selflessness and devotion, for ceaseless care and medical attention, and such human help which specialists and experts alone can render. C.M. Mukherjee. Ranjan's colleague and close friend. Finally, to pay my homage, I would love to quote these lines in his honor and love. Those who love don't go away, they walk beside us every day, unseen, unheard, but always near, so loved, so missed. Plant these seeds in spring or fall, stories of me you shall recall. Thank you.